And we're back for the papers this morning. Ezekiel will be joining us. Ezekiel Nya Etok. It's good to have you join us this morning.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right, then. Let's quickly run through the papers. I'll start off with the leadership, and then we'll look at all the papers that's been made available by a paper vendor. The leadership says Tinubu seeks Atiku Obi orders support for greater Nigeria. That's how the leadership captions it. Says, let's politics give way to nation building, and pledges not to disappoint Nigerians. President Muhammadu Buhari and the United Kingdom Prime Minister, ECOWAS leaders, governors, orders congratulate President-elect. That's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And PDP, Labour Party vow to seek redress and recover mandate. There's been a lot that's going on as to the irregularities with the elections. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo urges collective action against insecurity and coups. Talking about Africa. Assemble your economic team, now expert tells Tinubu. And Kanu killing, Dogua arraigned and sent to prison. Thugs attack Sokoto PDP campaign office. That's also another you find. How foreign press reported Tinubu's declaration. Why presidential poll will affect governorship and the assembly elections. Borno market fire. Please arrest 50 for looting. That's it this morning on the Leadership newspaper.
All right, let's look at the Punch. Tinubu woos Atiku Obi as parties reject result. Tinubu woos Atiku Obi as parties reject result. PDP, LP, and NPP. Others refuse to sign electoral result sheet in Abuja. Buhari, Osinbajo, UK, ECOWAS, Senate governors congratulate President-elect Obi campaign mulls legal battle as Tinubu visits Buhari in Daura. Another is a picture, a cartoon of the president-elect. It says hashtag Emilokon, the kingmaker who became king. Indeed, I think Al Jazeera put up something yesterday. It says a godfather who got to the throne. Banks' assets rise 73 trillion naira. I wonder if it's in new naira, old naira. Grant Nigerians visas on arrival, FG tells India. Marketers to sanction depots, filling stations over pricing fuel. All right, and Obi, the trader who changed the game. I don't know if that would assuage the feelings of his supporters tonight. He's just a game changer. I don't think that will. So we have those headlines on the front page of the Punch. We see the full results, the tally of the votes, state by state, as far as the elections are concerned, and of course the mapping of the winners of this election. All right, we'll leave that and move to the next paper.
Tinubu extends olive branch, invites youths to rescue Nigeria. That's the Guardian this morning. And you have Yaga Africa contradicts INEC on Rivers Imo result. We have lost confidence in INEC, Situation Room declares. Protesters storm Abuja Unity Fountain and Niger State and demand fresh elections. Now, Buhari, losers should take their grievances to court and not streets. Meet aggrieved presidential candidate, or that's what the president is advising. Your attributes needed at this time, as Osinbajo congratulates Tinubu. Obi breaks silence and promises to address Nigerians. Dati vows to use legal means to reclaim mandate and tackles Lawan for trying to rewrite the Electoral Act. I mean, you saw the statement from Ahmed Lawan. You also have some National Assembly members who have also come out to say, hey, we took our time, to work on this Electoral Act, and you can't be telling us differently at this point. Now, INEC clashes hope or dashes hope of Nigerians, Christian Coalition alleges. INEC dashes hopes of Nigerians and Christian Coalition alleges. Another says election result collated in people's homes. Labour Party chieftain is quoted to say purportedly. And Tinubu tax on APC overhaul inclusive administration. Some people say, how can you talk about peace without justice? That's it this morning on the Guardian newspaper.
Okay, let's take the next one before we go to our guest. The Nation has a few headlines. I hear you loud and clear. President-elect tells youth, and there's a picture, front page picture of Bola Tinubu smiling. Bola Tinubu, who's all but achieved his lifelong dream, holding aloft the certificate of return, which was swiftly, presented to him by INEC. There was no delay at all in doing that. The writers to that headline, young Nigerians will get full attention. Tinubu promises good governance, functional economy, security. President-elect VP gets COR, which is what you're seeing him holding. I wonder what the youth will say in response to that. Will they accept it or will they reject it? Time will tell. Poll results reflect the will of Nigerians, say Buhari, or says Buhari. UK PM Macron, that's the French president, IBB hailed Tinubu. Shetim, I think IBB said it's a new dawn for Nigeria. Will Nigerians be looking to the likes of IBB and Buhari to find out if it's really a new dawn? Time will tell. Tinubu's victory excites capital markets. Stockbrokers set agenda. That's some good news right there. FECOK's African Union Convention on Crisis or Cross-Border Cooperation jam sacks 2 over alleged forgery, and excited Osun residents celebrate Tinubu. That's what we can take from the Nation newspaper. Ezekiel Nya Etok, good morning once again, and I think we'll use the Nation to start with your take on all things election results. Tinubu, the declared winner, is calling on the youth. He's extending an olive branch, like we see on the front page of the Nation, and indeed on the front page of the Guardian. He's inviting them to rescue Nigeria. When you see you extend an olive branch, it means that you want peace. That means there must have been something, some friction between both. And I'm hearing answers somewhere in between. What do you think about this reach out by the president-elect to the young people of Nigeria?
First, I think it is hypocritical. When you say, I hear you loud and clear, I don't think so. It's just a soundbite. Why do I say so? If you tell me that over 35 million of the registered voters were young people below a certain age threshold, and yet the total number of voters in the whole out of about 90 million came to less than that number of the youth. So what are you hearing? Where are you hearing? From what? How are you hearing? You haven't heard anything from the youth. So what he should say is that, youth, I am coming for you, and not that I hear you loud and clear. So for me, that's the beginning. Second, yes, go on.
No, go on. We're listening to you. Yes, we didn't
say anything.
Yeah. Okay. Second, I feel very unhappy. I've felt unhappy for a while now because I was so sure that for once we were going to have election that counts, where the will of the people is expressed, outside of which some of us have absolutely no business being in the political arena. Absolutely none. Those of you that know me, I have never accepted any appointment. I've always prided myself as a thoroughbred professional who has effectively come to the end of my working life, so to speak. In the next few months, November 1, I'll be 60. And God had helped me to make hair while the sun shone. And I did that strictly as a professional and, by the grace of God, extremely successful. And for me, it was a new phase of a give back phase where I was not willing to play the game of the old music. I was really excited that there was a kind of a platform for a new music to be entrenched, where, you're talking in terms of bring what your credibility are on the table, bring what your vision is, and then let the people decide. I was very happy with that. But right now, it's like it's back to same old, and it's very frustrating to some people like us who have literally spent our life savings to be able to help the poor. And how this turns out, only God knows.
I'd also would like to share your thoughts on this other one. The stories on the Guardian newspaper, it talks about the president's concern as to those who have lost in this election. He's advising that they take, their grievances to the court and not the streets. But my question is, do you think there's justice in the court?
No, absolutely no justice. Absolutely no justice. And I can tell you, as someone who is directly involved in the process, if you want to play a game and you mean well, the first thing you do is ask for the rules of that game. When you study the rules of the game and you know that as a footballer, only the goalkeeper is allowed to touch the ball within the 18, that anybody that touches that ball in the 18, if you are an opponent, is a foul. If it was your side, it's a penalty. And they understand what a penalty is. Now, if it's out of the 18, it could be a direct or indirect free kick, depending on what. Now, when you understand the rules of the game, you now ask yourself, am I ready to play this game? And then you say yes or no. And when you enter, you expect the game to be played by the rules. INEC gave us an electoral act, which was hailed, and they had their own rules of engagement by the INEC guidelines. Some of us took time to study it very well, and there are certain provisions in law. When you use the word shall, it is mandatory, it is compulsory, it is obligatory, it is something that you have no alternative to. It is stronger than must. Results shall be transmitted electronically from the polling booth. That is shall. It's there in the law. And there's a reason for that. When you finish compiling the elections, you must write it out. And that one that you wrote out on the proper paper, you must take the picture and transmit the picture from the position. There are reasons. We were really seriously involved as civil society. I'm the Director General of Nigeria First Project, okay? And we were really involved in the processes. We did a lot of brainstorming, the likes of Yaga Africa, Enough is Enough. All of us were there, and we looked at some of us that have been involved in the processes before. They tried to get our input as per what are the practical problems that could be. And it was from there that they harvested all this, and virtually every recommendation was accepted, except maybe less than a handful. At the end of the day, number one, I want to tell you 1, 2, 3 things that we must look out for. This is a very serious matter. INEC calculates the money that they want to collect from government based on anticipated voter turnout, which is based on the voter registration. And there is an amount like $5 or something like that they intend to spend on every single voter. Now, what happened? With over 90 million anticipated voters, you must have printed papers, all those materials, bought ink, everything, for at least, they should tell us the percentage that they made provision for. I don't think it would have been less than 50%. And as of today, if they did, and we had a turnout of less than 25%, where are all those materials? In Abuja itself, my wife's polling booth, where my wife was, they had to go home to bring ink, to bring the stamp, the ink to be used. There was none. Several polling booths, the papers were not enough. There were material complaints when they should have been having excess upon excess of those materials. And then recently we are hearing people that were caught with machines that tamper with, the beavers and things like that. At the end of the day, where are we? And I'm so worried by that. The base that I had as my primary base, they are starting to call me up and said, "Yeah, Etok, this thing, there's no need to waste my time." And it is demoralizing to some of us. People are so demoralized. People are so disillusioned. They are so disenchanted. It's an anticlimax. And this is.
It's kind of. Will you rate this worse than 2007, or do you think 2007 still ranks as the worst election in Nigeria's history?
I would say that 2007 was far worse than this. Okay. Far worse, because we won election, and I went back home and I sat downstairs. I couldn't go upstairs. And then my wife came like, "Oh, what happened? Did people lose? How could that?" What? She was so worried. I said, "We won. We didn't just win. But you see, I said, your husband, Mr. Integrity, was watching over what was going on, because all the materials were carted into somebody's house and people were just there, pium, 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 and I was watching. And of course, the Tompri, it was a silly thing. It was absolutely, there was nothing like election. It was preposterous, So I don't think anything could be worse than that. In this one, people actually did come out. The only thing is that the officials bypassed all the processes. You can call up the beavers, the details on the beavers. If you have the last, I think, 4 or 6 digits, it will come up. But the law says you must come with your PVC, permanent voter card. That's what the law says. So we expected that these people will follow the law to the letter. That is number one. Number two, there were several stations. Let me tell you this. People love me. People really, really, really love me. I'll tell you this for free. And a lot of people came to me and approached me, "Sir, we want you to win this election. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this for you." I said, "No, that the electoral act that we have is something you cannot tamper with. You can't help me, because people are going to go there, biometric accreditation, the votes are done, they are counted, they are transmitted on the spot. I don't need any help." I said, I even went to the point of boasting that even the INEC chairman cannot help me. He's my friend. I even boasted that even INEC chairman cannot help me, because I had so much faith in the process. At the end of the day, I look like such a fool, and all those guys are just looking at me and say, "All these book people, they don't know this man who carry on computer for politics." Sir. All right, because they were like, they really wanted me to be governor of Akwa Ibom State. If I tell you the experiences I've had,
but Ezekiel, it's not over. It's still room to have a remedy.
Anyway, if I make any impact, it will be strictly a miracle. I'll tell you that. I know what I've done. I've been on this thing from day one after the 1999 and the 2019 elections. I've been on it. In fact, in Uyo, a group of people came to me and said, "Architect, do you know what they call you in town?" I said, "No." Said, "They call you submarine." I'm a strategist.
Wow.
He said, "They call you submarine." Brother, for you to stay and be successful without taking any appointment or depending on government contract, you've got to be a strategist, a strategic striker. That's what I am. And I always succeed. Always succeed. For me to be in this program on PlusTvAfrica and my opinion is respected, there are 1 or 2 things I do. Do you understand me? Let me even reveal a little secret. You see this picture behind me, my wife's picture? It gets people that this is a man that loves his wife. And that gets to people. You'll be surprised that people come in just to see the picture and listen to me. Number 2, I take time to go through the papers before time, so that what I'm saying, I don't just yarn errant nonsense. I try. So I've got to ask myself, what are the success factors in the things that I do? That's how I approach everything I do, including the politics that I do. And I was shooting to kill. My wife said I should stop using that expression so that they don't misunderstand me.
I can imagine.
You
But
know,
what? Yeah,
basically, there are three types of shots. You shoot in the air, that is shoot to scare. You shoot on the leg, that is shoot to maim. But when you aim the brain, guy, is shoot to kill. So I was contesting to win the election and not to just, so for me it was what were the strategic, imperatives. And just at the dying minute, INEC is just trying to pull the rug off my feet. But I still believe in miracles, so I'm still pressing on, and we'll talk after this.
Fantastic.
Well, so on the leadership newspaper, you have why presidential poll will affect governorship assembly, the governorship and state assembly elections. Now, my question is, what factors do you think, or do you think that, the outcome of the presidential elections would affect, the elections on the 11th of March?
Yes, it will. I'll tell you state by state, but I'll talk about Akwa Ibom in particular. If Atiku, being PDP, had won, the PDP would have been strengthened, but now they've been weakened. PDP is weakened in Akwa Ibom. I want to do just a little strategic analysis of Akwa Ibom State. Number one, where everything was working perfectly for me. Number one, PDP is weakened because they didn't win. Number two, APC that won, they have a challenge with the candidate. As of today, there's no candidate of APC on the platform. So that left Akwa Ibom neutral for us to now take a ride on it. And then Labour that didn't win had a lot of momentum, and some of us had identified with Labour. So the momentum would come on our side, and nobody has a strategic advantage by way of having the president on their side. So there are states that are going to be neutral, like Akwa Ibom right now. There are states that are going to be, the candidates are going to be reinforced, all APC states. The candidates are going to be gingered, and they're like, you better come, let's go, join the winning team. We don't want to be alienated from the center. You can't, even PDP states are going to start to have some kind of challenges on should they, the voters, should they hold on to PDP? Does it make sense? What have they enjoyed? Or should they, for once, move to the mainstream in the center so that they can start to enjoy the largesse of the center? Other states, for me, I was very happy when PDP lost, and we were no longer attached to the center, because Akwa Ibom is the paymaster. We are the donatus of Nigeria. So once that you are attached to the center just, all the presidency, they become the leeches. So there's so much capital flight. So when we're detached from the center, I was happier. And I wanted us, I wrote an article that I stated 16 years a slave. We were enslaved by the center. We got nothing from the center, and the center felt we had so much that they were always leeching on us. So for me, for a state like Akwa Ibom or Rivers, I would tell them be away from the center and stay on your own. But if you don't, yep.
All right, just quickly, let's look at the electoral confidence. I mean, the confidence in the electoral process, by the way. We saw that the turnout for the 2023 elections, especially the presidential and the National Assembly elections, was quite impressive. And with the irregularities, all of the complaints, logistic issues, inability to upload results real time as it should be, and thuggery activities, what have you, in different parts of the country. Do you see an impressive turnout of voters on the 11th of March?
I see, number one, a possible decline, because there are 1, 2, 3 people that turn out for election. There are those that go to collect, and because of this cashless policy, in the presidential election, they got next to nothing. So if that policy is to continue, those who go to collect realize that there's not much for them to collect. So they are going to relax. The second point is going to have to do with those who would have been gingered on account of, now we have alternatives. Before it was choosing between 6 and half a dozen, but now we have alternatives. They would have been gingered to go and support their people, because several people, Akwa Ibom used to be a one-party state, then it became a two-party state. Now it rose to become a five-party state when they talk in terms of the big five, where I'm privileged to be one of them. So there was a ginger that people were coming, but right now, the enthusiasm of that base that had been activated has been dampened, knowing that, oh boy, there is this same old I thought it was. So I don't know what is going to make the turnout to be better, because the money bit is going to be not exciting. The new kid on the block, concept is being jettisoned right now. So who are going to be the voters? It is the people that have invested so much. I foresee a little bit of violence and aggression, and except in Akwa Ibom, for instance, except there's a gang up, we are going to have a situation where the government are going to try to muscle and have their way. But if there's a certain gang up of these other people, then the government will be a lot more desperate. And let me say this, that I doubt that I will gang up with anybody.
All right, interesting. One of the people that you may want to, if you had to gang up, would be the Nigeria police force, because I saw the video of in Akwa Ibom State. I mean, the police are perennially part of the rigging system in this country, and it's a shame. I mean, the IGP, I don't know what he can say about this. From 1999 till date, we saw the video of police officers accompanying INEC officials in a bus with the materials there with fake soldiers, fake soldiers. And I said, wow, I mean, if this can happen in Akwa Ibom State with all, the peace that state enjoys, it's terrible. Finally, before you go, because we hear you have to run, the leadership gives a different perspective. It says that Tinubu seeks Atiku be other support for greater Nigeria. Should these men be picking up the phone and making that call, or should they go ahead, press ahead with their legal process to seek redress and challenge the results?
The worst mistake that Peter Obi will make will be to pick the phone and make the call. That's the worst mistake he would make. Now, there's a way it would have been. We know that there is no perfect, electionary system, or even in the most advanced democracies. But there's a way it is, and we're like, well. But this one was too brazen. It was too glaring. It was too obvious. The only thing is that when Mr. President said go to court, I think he was not quite informed. There is a process before the tribunal, before the court. That first process is administrative review that can be done within 7 days by INEC. For instance, they can go tell INEC if INEC is honest, because you can make an honest mistake. So if INEC is honest, they can show them things, and the INEC has a right within the current Electoral Act to embark on what you call administrative review, and they look at those things. If that addresses the problem, it ends there. If it doesn't address the problem, they will go to the next step, which is a tribunal. At the end of the tribunal, depending on what the decision is, they can now approach the court, which will end finally at the Supreme Court. So I think that I would join Nigerians to say, please, protest is not the way forward. We don't need to lose more than we've lost already. So let us take the legal, perspective. If I was Mr. Obi or Mr. Atiku, I will not make the call. I will not. It's not being. There's a way it would have been. I'm like, okay. But when you have Yaga Africa coming to tell you that the election results were compromised in River State and in Imo State, and let me tell you what it means. There's a margin of about 2 million. It's not too much, guy. It's not too much between Obi and that. And if each correction takes away from one and adds to the other, so that differential can actually tilt the results the right way up. But there's a way it would have been, maybe this guy had maybe 20 million and you had 6 million, and people say, brother, no matter how much, this gap is too much. I would say just make the call, let it be. But for now, I'm not sure that I'll be able to, in all good conscience, advise Mr. Peter Obi or even Mr. Atiku to make the call.
All right. Ezekiel, thank you so much for your time.
We have to go now. We do appreciate you. And of course, we wish you the best as you put your foot out there, 11th of March. All right. That's the size of our conversation. It's always a delight to speak with Ezekiel Nya Etok. And we'll see how all of this unfolds. The conversation continues right here. Let's take this break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.